How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today's not going to be a finance video, and I do not do this very lightly. Instead, today's topic is going to be about health, in particular my health, and how this might relate to your personal health. I know this is not a health channel, but it's basically consumed my life for the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. Since a long time ago, I've been having chronic issues with rashes, and it's just very, very minor that, you just kind of go, oh, it must be something weird or something. You don't pay much attention to it because, sometimes it goes away, sometimes it comes back. But around 2 weeks ago, around the same time that I started doing videos once every other day, I happened to get in a really, really bad health state. You might have noticed that maybe the color of my face is not so good, or maybe, I didn't look as healthy or something. I think this is mainly from my health issues sort of building up one after another. I feel much better right now because I feel like I finally found a way, health-wise in terms of my diet to try and fix this issue. Now, I spent so much time researching it because when I'm not doing videos, I actually go online and I look up any question I have about this particular subject. And if I add it all up, it must have been way over 40 hours. So today I'm going to share what I've learned with you guys. As a YouTuber, I feel like what I know now, it's sort of like the most important thing that I can give to you guys, which is sort of to give you fair warning about these health issues that you might not see them coming if you just keep on consuming whatever that you want. So let me start with what the symptoms are. I have eczema, and my doctor said, yeah, you have eczema. You gotta, apply these topical creams and stuff. Then it'll go away. But then the doctors never really go, okay, this is the cause of your eczema, because that's what I want to do. I don't want to just, put stuff on it just to get rid of it temporarily. I want to heal it at the source so that I don't get rashes to begin with. So then the eczema thing has been going on for a really long time. I'd say years. But over the last year or so, I've been growing more and more sensitive to various foods, such as the first thing was beef. I could not eat beef. I noticed that if I eat 2-3 days worth of beef in a row, then I would start to not feel very good. Eventually, it got to a point where I cannot sleep very well. I started sweating a lot. And then came pork. I cannot have that either. And then I realized I could not have soy, because if I just have soy and nothing changed from day 1 to day 2, if I have soy, then I get more rashes. So right now I'm down to only having vegetables and fish. And I realized after a while that maybe I should only have wild caught fish rather than farm fish, mainly because farm fish has, antibiotics, all kinds of chemicals in it. Farm fish, by the way, is not as healthy for you as you think it is, because it has a high amount of omega-6. Anyhow, I'll leave that for discussion somewhere else. I'm not going to talk about, farm fish versus wild caught fish. This is just what I personally am going to do. I'm trying to always have wild fish these days. So what started all this was a friend of mine talked about an elimination diet because I was getting allergic to a lot of different things. Sudden allergies. I was never allergic to anything before. I could eat basically everything. And then all of a sudden I started getting allergic to this. So I'm like, okay, yeah, it's worth a try. I'm going to do an elimination diet. I can have, the stuff that you're only supposed to have, which is vegetables and then fish, and basically no wheat, no grains, no eggplant, no tomato, and things like that. So it's very, very strict in terms of what you can have. And then you let your body rest a bit, and then you start introducing one at a time back into your diet to see if you're actually allergic to those items. Now, through researching on the elimination diet, I found out there's this thing called leaky gut, which is basically when you eat a lot of bad things for you, like pesticides and things. When it goes into your gut, it inhibits the growth of good bacteria and promotes the growth of bad bacteria. The bad bacteria then excretes these chemicals, and inside your gut, it starts to create tiny holes that you cannot really see, but then it allows certain proteins to flow through into your gut. When food particles flow into your bloodstream, well, then your red blood cells attack it, and then causes an inflammatory response such as eczema. So if it's something that caused my leaky gut, what about my diet that was actually bad? Then I thought, well, what could it be? Am I eating too much meat? I'm not eating enough vegetables. But then it dawned on me that at some point in the past, when I had a bigger problem, At that time, I was having more Cheerios. I looked it up and it turns out Cheerios, the normal kind, not the honey nut Cheerios kind, had a level of 1,125 parts per billion of glyphosate in it. Also, at another point in time, a little bit earlier than that, I started having a lot more honey. I go to Costco and buy, that big jar worth of honey. And you might have seen me do a video about it where I did make a sports drink using honey and salt. Well, it turns out the ample usage of glyphosate all over the place causes the honeybees to pick them up, and then it gets deposited in our honey. And it turns out in our honey, there's a lot of glyphosate as well. The amount, just from my digging on the internet, says there is about 64 parts per billion. So not all that much. But the way I think about all this is every little amount gets accumulated in your blood, and then your liver can only process so much of these toxins and remove it from your body. So if you sort of have a lot of it, which at the time I did, I had like 1 or 2 honey sweetened drink a day back then, and possibly that could have contributed to me having, a skin rashes back then as well. So I think there's a lot of different things bad for you, not just pesticides. In particular, if you fried foods and stuff, that could be oxidative to your body. I'm not too sure if that was the cause of my issue, but I feel like everything combined, including having a high amount of pesticides or herbicides ingested, caused a sort of overflow. The liver cannot handle that much because, you put in 150% and your liver is working at 100%. Well, that overflow amount is just not going to get processed in your body. And with that overflow amount, it's not going to get ejected from your body, and maybe it stays inside, maybe it stays in your gut or something. And over time, it causes these problems such as eczema. So by the time your gut is porous and stuff to a lot of food particles, it doesn't really matter what you eat. So that's the stage I think I got in because, no matter what I eat, I can eat chicken, I can eat pork or something, and sometimes even fish I would get a little bit allergic to. So by that time, it's not like, I should watch out for things with a lot of pesticides in it, but rather, it's just kind of too late. I can't eat anything. So I need to heal my gut first. And then I can start introducing back a lot of different foods that does not hurt my gut. Does that make sense? Now, there are a lot of opinions on health issues, and every single time I say something about it, for example, I'm going to go vegetarian, I'm going to try and eat less meat, there's always someone that goes, meat is good for you or something. There's always someone with a different opinion. So just take this as my personal opinion, be it right or wrong. It certainly seems to be working for me, at least for about 2 weeks or so. With any type of opinion, you certainly can find a lot of research papers and stuff supporting both sides. So which is right? You just have to, pick a side, I guess, and just go with it and go with something that you know. For me personally, all this fits in together very well, too well almost, and it actually works. So what I'm trying to do is drastically cut out any form of pesticides that I ingest and let my gut heal, and then I can start introducing back a lot of different foods. Sometimes I feel like even though you can find a lot of different articles and stuff supporting your claim that, whatever kind of pesticides is, not as bad for you as you think. By the way, even if you order organic food, there's going to be a lot of pesticides, maybe even worse pesticides in it. The thing here is that I don't have all the time in the world to refute every single thing. The only thing I can do is gather enough information for myself, and then I see that things fit together, so I'm just going to go with it. With that said, let me just say that with our capitalistic economy, there's a lot of lobbying going on. So you can essentially bend what shows up in the public in terms of the research papers and stuff. So even if you can find lots and lots of research paper for one thing, you got to look at what supported that research. So that's all I have to say with that. Let me move on. One of the reasons that allowed me to make this video is the recent ruling from a jury that ordered Monsanto to pay $289 million in damages to the plaintiff due to his cancer resulting from using Roundup. So this is the groundskeeper. He used Roundup, I guess, to kill all the weeds and stuff. And he only used it for about 2 years. And he got some sort of lymphomic cancer or something. And he sued and won. Now, I believe using Roundup is probably, really, really bad. Maybe he was almost breathing it in, ingesting high amounts of it, much more than even if you can go eat worse foods out there. For me, I'm affected because I've been known to sort of be more sensitive to certain foods and things. I would say I'm like on one end of the spectrum in terms of food sensitivities. Not that I'm allergic. I'm not allergic to peanuts and stuff like that before, but I do feel like I have a heightened sense of taste. I get itchy from things easily. So it makes sense to me that, any kind of contaminants and things like that, I might be more allergic to than other people. So I feel like I might be on the beginning end of this people that gets affected. So then that's why I want to make this video, let other people know, because, I'm more sensitive. So then I can go, you know what? You might not be as sensitive to this stuff, but by the time you are, it might be too late, or maybe you might be much more affected to it. Me being more sensitive to it, I can detect it, and my skin gets rashes and stuff, and then I can go, you know what, something is going on wrong. Something is very, very wrong. I need to change something about it. And through my digging, I found out these things that I can do to change my diet in order to get myself healthy again. More story is, which I'll link all these stories down below, is another one from USA Today that says breakfast food cereals have a lot of weed killer in it, which is basically the main component, glyphosate, which is what they tested in it. So let me list out all these amounts of weed killer in all these different foods, not just cereals. Cheerios, 1,125 parts per billion. Now I want to let you guys know that I actually switched to regular Cheerios from Honey Nut Cheerios, thinking that, oh my gosh, Honey Nut Cheerios, it has less sugar, let me have that. Well, it turns out that it has about twice the amount of glyphosate as Honey Nut Cheerios. So I think that is part of the reason when I was having that on a daily basis, that I got really acute symptoms. Like I had it every single day, and it wasn't even like just 1 cup. I think it was close to 2 cups of it every single day. And you can imagine, wow, that is a huge load of glyphosate to ingest. And then you have Honey Nut Cheerios at almost half of it, at 670 parts per billion. I'm going to list all these numbers in parts per billion. With all this, I want to say you have to have a reference to how bad it is for you, right? Just saying 1,125 parts per billion means nothing. So as a gauge, they tested these with rats. 0.05 parts per billion altered the gene function of over 4,000 genes in the livers and kidneys of rats. Wow, just a tiny, tiny amount will affect the rats' genes. They allow about 700 parts per billion in our tap water, but they only measure about 0.14 right now. Moving on with the amount of glyphosate in our typical foods, I'm going to list them and you guys are going to be really shocked. Lay's kettle cooked original potato chips, 452 parts per billion. Stacy's Simply Naked Pita Chips, 812 parts per billion. Oreo's double stuffed cookies, and I feel like a lot of people have Oreo double stuffed cookies, at 215 parts per billion. This is one of the reasons why I don't eat processed foods, but it did not occur to me. At the time, I did not eat much processed food, but then I went and ate a whole bunch of Cheerios thinking that that's not really all that processed because it's like a grain and it says it's healthy for you. I was wrong. And then you have the Fritos Original, 174 parts per billion, Wheaties, 31 parts per billion, Goldfish Crackers Original, 18 parts per billion, Trix, 10 parts per billion, Annie's Gluten-Free, Bunny Cookies, cocoa and vanilla flavored, 55 parts per billion. Now, all of these are very interesting. There's various amounts of glyphosate in our foods, basically in all the processed foods. So when you think of it now, wow, when you go outside, there's practically nothing you can eat that has minimal amounts of glyphosate. The way I personally need to think of it is this. Try to minimize your total consumption of glyphosate every single day. If you have 10 parts per billion just from, having a bowl of cereal or something, fine. But then when you add it all up, it needs to be below a certain amount. Let me move on to meat now, because this is going to shock you guys. I think this is part of the reason why when I was sick, when I have certain kind of foods, I get a huge reaction to it. I get more reaction to it, to certain kind of meat more than others. And I feel like this is because it might be the glyphosate that's inside, or it might be because my gut was permeable and then the proteins are leaking into my body. I don't know which one. Both of these could be possibilities. It could be something else, but I'm going with that for now. The allowable amount of glyphosate in your beef is actually 5,000 parts per billion. This sort of gives reason why even if I have 1 8-ounce serving one evening, I would not be able to sleep. I would wake up about 3 hours later. I would get like sweaty and stuff from having just that little bit amount of beef. There's a measured amount of 4,900 parts per billion of glyphosate in pork. This is measured rather than what's allowed. There's 11,900 parts per billion in genetically modified soybeans. Why are genetically modified foods have more pesticides in terms of glyphosate than other foods? It's because when it's genetically modified, they can just go to town with the pesticides. They can go to town with the Roundup and also the glyphosate. They can spray as much as they want. It will not kill their crops because this is a capitalism thing here. You kill off all the weeds. Your weeds is not sapping nutrients from the ground, causing you to have less yield. Then basically you have more stuff to sell. You make more money. When you make more money, well, everyone's happy. Well, at least the farmer is happy. There's 242 parts per billion in soy sauce, which is made from soybeans, which is another reason why I can't have soy sauce anymore. There's 120 parts per billion in Fruit Loops. There's 64 parts per billion in honey, and the reference to these sources of how much glyphosate is in everything, I'll leave it down in the video description below. Now, I want to say a little something about intolerances. Intolerances for gluten, soy has been going up steadily, right along with higher and higher usage of glyphosate or, Roundup. Why are people more intolerant to it? Now, this is a conjecture here. I don't have any proof to this. Is that when more people are having more of this wheat and stuff, there's more glyphosate in it. People think they are allergic to gluten. People think they're allergic to soy. Only because when they eat it, there's a whole bunch of pesticides in it. That's why, they have a reaction to it. So my conjecture with all this is people are not allergic to gluten. People are not allergic to soy. But yeah, okay, there are some people that are really allergic to those things. But for most of the population, people are allergic to the pesticides, to the herbicide that's used, not the underlying food item. It's because when they eat the food, they go, oh yeah, you eat it. Oh, I'm allergic to it. Okay, it's that food. But then there's all this chemicals on it that you can't see. It's sort of invisible that when you eat it, and it's very expensive to test, so people can't just go around at home and go, okay, I'm going to test this for glyphosate. So when people eat it, they kind of attribute it to them being intolerant to certain things. Along with intolerant to beef, along with intolerant to milk, inside the milk, there's a bunch of, herbicides and stuff in it as well because, the cow is eating all this genetically modified corn. And corn and soy is allowed to have a lot more glyphosate, a lot more herbicides than the corn and soy that people eat. So when the cow eats it, they munch on it. It gets into their system. It stays in their system. It accumulates. That's why they allow 5,000 of it in the cow in parts per billion. And then they go and make the milk. And then you drink the milk with a lot of herbicide in it as well. So I don't know, you guys. I feel like our whole food system is poisoned. And then we think about, oh, China has fake eggs or something. At least when it's fake, you can actually bring it home. And sometimes you can actually tell. You can see it in person. But then here, there's this whole, I don't know, I hate to say kind of conspiracy theory kind of thing, but I like to make predictions here. Especially on these type of videos, I made a whole bunch of predictions before. If you've been on a long time watcher of this show, you've seen me make a whole bunch of prediction. Another prediction I like to make on this video is that Bayer bought Monsanto just 2 months ago. And Monsanto is the owner of this Roundup stuff. Okay. So they're going to get a lot of lawsuits going their way because one of them went through already with $289 million. A lot more people are going to pile on and they're going to reference that original lawsuit and then go, yeah, see, the World Health Organization also said that, glyphosate is a likely carcinogen. And then people are piling on and just saying, yeah, we really think it is a carcinogen. It gives you health issues and stuff, not just carcinogen, because carcinogen is like way down there. Once you have cancer, well, you're like almost dead already. There's a roughly in between stuff where when you ingest it, it's killing your good gut bacteria. It's causing problems like the stuff I'm having where I'm getting rashes. I'm being intolerant to various foods all of a sudden. So my conjecture is this. There's going to be a lot more and more people, waking up to this. And then they're going to sue. And then it's going to cost more than they're estimated of $10 billion in losses. This is what, some articles assume. I feel like it's going to be a lot more than that. More and more. Maybe there will be a class action lawsuit or something. And it might just put that company under. So right now, I'm not a financial advisor or anything. I can't recommend you to buy or short this Bayer stock. I currently do not hold any stock in Bayer, and I might, in the coming weeks or months, days or something, I might short the stock. With that said, I'm going to try various things with myself, with my health. After my gut heals, I'm going to go eat various different things, including non-genetically modified soy sauce. And I think tonight I'm going to go have some grass-fed beef. Because normally, if I eat one portion of beef, I will feel really, really terrible. So this is like trying to ingest something, just trying to test out a theory that it's not actually the beef that's causing me problems. It's actually the herbicide, glyphosate, that's contained within the beef that's causing me problems. So, I'll post it down in a pinned comment below later on, tell you guys if it did anything or not. If it did, it might be because I might still have a permeable gut. So I might try again sometime later. It will be very interesting to see the results of this. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you might be able to glean something from this. You can believe it, you cannot. I'm certainly not that big a health person because before all this, I'm like, oh, organic food? I don't care. I just kind of buy everything. I just buy everything not organic because it's cheaper. These days, I'm going a lot more organic, but then you do not always have to buy everything that's organic because, for example, cantaloupe has a skin that you don't actually eat. So then you only eat what's inside. So then you have a lot less herbicides that could be inside your fruit. Most of it is on the outside, but you're still going to get a little bit on the inside, of course. So I hope you guys give this a thought. Think about herbicides, pesticides, herbicides that's inside your meat. Before, I was only eating beef. I thought that grain-fed is better. It's eating grain, soy or something. But little did I know that the grain and soy that they eat is, covered with a lot of herbicides. Then, yeah, it tastes better because it's more marbled. But then grass-fed is less marbled. However, it does not have, all that glyphosates in it. I hope this video finds you guys well, and I hope the best for all of your health, and you don't have to get to this stage like I am. I am so glad that I can tone back down the amount of videos I do because, rather than doing one video every day, I was able to take some time off to, care for my health basically every other day. Take some time outside of doing videos. I am making a lot of different things, a lot of things to take care of my gut health. If you want to heal your leaky gut, if you already have leaky gut, there's this whole thing that you can do. Search for it online, or if you're really interested, let me know. I'll make another video about it. I have all this supplements that I'm having, making bone broth and all this stuff and trying to heal my leaky gut. So this video is long enough. I hope you guys like this video. And thanks for watching. If you like this video and you want to support my channel, check out my Audible link down in the video description below, where you can get a free audiobook and you don't have to pay a thing if you cancel this subscription before it expires, and you can still keep this audiobook for free. Push that subscribe button over here and ring that bell icon. Thanks for watching.